Let's have a look at how Akixi goes about assembling and creating call records. To do this, we'll have to understand how Akixi models calls. And what we mean by call modeling is building up a picture from cradle to grave of call activity, which includes information like where did it originate from, where did it go to, what happened during the lifetime of that call. To understand call modeling, we first have to understand the fundamental principles of Akixi call modeling. The first one being Akixi internal call modeling. What Akixi classes as an internal call is a call that remains within the same Akixi partition. So as long as the call doesn't pass the boundary of a partition, Akixi will model that call as an internal call. An important thing to understand about internal call modeling is internal calls will have two corresponding call records, one internal inbound and one internal outbound, one for each extension involved in that call. The next principle is Akixi external call modeling. Akixi will see any call that passes the boundary of a partition as an external call, even if that call within the telephony platform remains within the boundaries of the same enterprise. If it crosses the boundaries of an Akixi partition, Akixi will model that as an external call. Finally, and probably the key most fundamental principle to understand, is that in order for Akixi to do accurate call modeling, both call parties must be represented within the Akixi environment, and we'll explain that as we go. So let's build an Akixi instance to monitor the enterprise on the right hand side. So what we need to do first is we need to build some sites, and we do this by creating a partition and applying a license. If you'd like more detailed information on how Akixi connects to telephony platforms, then check out the Connecting Akixi tutorial. The first thing we're going to do is connect the first partition at enterprise level, which means everything within that enterprise is going to be monitored on the first partition. The second partition, which we're going to apply a 1000 license, is going to synchronize at enterprise group level. So everything within enterprise group B is going to be monitored from within partition 2 as well as partition 1. And then a third partition, which is going to synchronize at enterprise group level to enterprise group C. And this is going to have a 2000 level license applied to it. And of course, the relevant supervisor. So what's going to happen now is all the call events on the right-hand side on the telephony platform are going to be monitored and modeled by Akixi on the left-hand side. So let's start making some phone calls on the telephony platform and show how that's modeled within the Akixi instance. So we're going to start with an internal phone call on two extensions within Enterprise Group C. So you can see here one extension calls another and they're both chatting away. So the way Akixi would model this is very simple. Firstly, in partition 1, because don't forget everything with the enterprise is being monitored in partition 1. And so Akixi can see the phone call happening, models it, and then the supervisor can see that as an internal call. Although technically, the supervisor can see that as two internal calls. Then down on partition 3, exactly the same. Again, that supervisor can see those calls as internal. Just something to bear in mind is if you have a supervisor at telephony server level or higher, they will also be able to report on those calls. But what they will have is they will see the two internal calls from partition 1 and the two internal calls from partition 3. So that supervisor would see 4 calls. So it's very important to understand how Akixi models calls from different levels. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have an extension in group A making an external call. Now, if you recall, one of the fundamental principles of call modeling within Akixi is that both entities must be represented within Akixi for the call to be modeled. How Akixi manages this is by way of the Common Devices partition. The Common Devices partition includes elements that are needed to operate a telephony platform, but aren't necessarily devices. So you've got things in there like music on hold, trunk gateways, voicemail applications, and so forth. So in order for Akixi to successfully model an external call, what happens is the extension connects to the trunk gateway in the Common Devices partition and then connects to the external call. If you look at this call in detail on Akixi, what you would see on that call entry is the extension talking to the trunk gateway or the trunk, but presenting the external CLI against that trunk gateway. So that's how Akixi models external calls, considering that the external party is not actually within the Akixi environment. And then, of course, the supervisor within partition 1 is going to see the call as an external outbound call. So we'll have an inbound external call now. So when Akixi models an external inbound call, it works exactly the same way, but in reverse. So we can see there that supervisor 1 sees it as an external inbound call to that extension. And of course, because that extension is modeled in partition 1 and partition 2, the same goes for the supervisor in partition 2. And again, just bearing in mind that any telephony server level reporting will see 2 call entries. While we're looking at call modeling external calls, let's have a look at how Akixi models a call between partitions. As we said before, Akixi will model this as an external call. So we have an extension in group C calling an extension in group B. And as you can see within the Akixi model, that crosses the boundary of a partition. So this is how Akixi would model that call. With regards to the call modeling within partition 3, it would see the other extension as an external party and model the call accordingly as an external call. And again, similar on the inbound call to the extension on partition 2, the supervisor would see that as an external inbound call. So now you've got an external outbound call on partition 3 and an external inbound as far as supervisor 2 is concerned. However, when we look at partition 1, because both devices are within the same partition, the call does not pass the boundary of the partition, so supervisor 1 would see those as internal calls. And again, let's just look at how a telephony server level supervisor would see that. It would first of all see the 2 internal calls from partition 1, an external inbound call from partition 2, and an external outbound call from partition 3. So that supervisor again would see that as 4 different calls.